Hello, my name is Andrew Edwards, and I studied with USAC in Montevideo from fall 2018 to spring 2019. And I'm going to be talking about my experience in Uruguay with regards to inclusiveness and friendliness and things like that. And I would like to provide a quick disclaimer on my identity before I answer these questions. I am white, gay, able-bodied. I have United States citizenship. I'm middle class. I think that those are important aspects of my identity to keep in mind as we consider my responses to these questions about inclusivity and diversity in Uruguay from my experience. The United States of America is a very large place, and certain places I would say value personal freedom more than others. I'm from Portland, Oregon, a very progressive and liberal space, and personal freedoms are kind of integral to our values in Portland and in Oregon and the west coast of the United States in general, I'd say. And I will say that when I went to Montevideo, I didn't experience much culture shock. Uruguay is a secular state, and the culture feels very inclusive and innovative and progressive, and I felt very inspired there. So if anything, I think that Uruguayan society values personal freedoms to sometimes a greater extent than we feel here in the United States. So yeah, I think that's important to acknowledge. I would say I'm relatively aware of these laws more along the lines of gender equality and more feminist types of laws. I'm not super aware of laws relating to protecting racial diversity and racial inclusion, but with regards to feminist activism, I know that Uruguay is very forward-thinking. I did a project on Uruguay's transgender law, which is much more innovative and revolutionary than anything we have here in the United States, and I think it's symbolic of Uruguay as a very forward-thinking society. I did an internship with Cotidiana Mujer, an NGO, a feminist NGO in Montevideo, and I did a project with them that analyzed Uruguay's abortion legislation and compared it with Canada's abortion legislation, because Canada has some of the world's most liberal abortion legislation, and we made some suggestions for Uruguayan feminist activism on how to further liberalize Uruguay's abortion legislation with inspiration from Canada and things like that. And I had a really great experience there. All of the women were very welcoming and excited that I was there to help them, and yeah, it was a really good experience. Uruguay has a secular government, so it's not associated with the Catholic Church like many Latin American nations, and I think that that has created a more inclusive and progressive and liberal society. So yes, I think in many regards it is. And I definitely would, especially to women and sexual minorities, I think that Uruguay is or Montevideo specifically, is a very good option. It's very forward-thinking with regards to gender equality and the inclusion of sexual diversity into the overall narrative of the culture. And my friends that were women that were studying there said they felt very safe. They were surprised by how safe they felt and how prominent the feminist movement is there. And yeah, it was a very inspiring place in that regard, with regards to gender equality and activism related to sexuality. I will say that I cannot speak obviously for how the experience would be for a racial minority. I can only speak for what I can speak for. I will just say overall, from my experience and from the experience of my friends, we all found Uruguay to be a very accommodating, inclusive, and progressive culture. We all felt very safe there and inspired there. And yeah, I would certainly say that Montevideo is a recommendable city for somebody looking for a progressive Latin American city to study Spanish.